Hello, everybody. My name is Ben, and as always, I'm joined by my constant co-host, Steve. Steve, how's it going?
Doing good.
All right, we are here to bring you some commentary on the BCS Weiß Schwarz Duluth Regional. A little bit of a jumble there. The BCS Weiß Schwarz Regional at Duluth, Georgia, for the Top Cut games. This recording will be covering the top 16. We will be watching Loopy versus Mochi Mano. It's going to be Gale Online versus 8 Standby hololive. Notably, even a different 8 Standby hololive list than what Mochi Mano got third with at BCS Houston previously in the year. Or in the previous year now.
Yeah, so we're going to go ahead and get into the setup for the game. I think a big part of this for GGO is they do have the ability to fight on the board against standby builds. And so it'll be interesting to see. That's usually the push-pull of any standby matchup is who can stay on the board during the mid-game.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting here to note that the Gale Online player does not have some of the expected level zeros, perhaps from not owning kind of the set 1 cards. There was a reprint, but there's the Pita Hui blue level 0 that can top clock to grab a level 1 or effectively level 1 or level 0 from the deck directly to the stage is kind of one of the only quote-unquote good early game, clock plussing cards that's in the set. Without that, you kind of have to play careful with your hand in the early game, or else you will be punished and will not have cards in your hand going through your level 1 turn, going into the mid game, unless you get lucky with Brainstorm. And hear me out. It's not the greatest to gamble your hand on the Brainstorm. The Brainstorm is for milling cards.
Yeah. So in light of that, you do need to be somewhat cautious. So we're seeing the standby deck going first. We get the early standby trigger for nothing despite a very aggressive mulligan, so just unlucky.
Yeah, and here, Mochi Mano's list this time around, there's not a focus on the early game as much. Kind of all of these level zeros are facilitating just being able to hit, trying to get the Iroha bounce back, trying to get the crony, sacrifice to bounce something else back, and using the Louis and the Aqua to manage our triggering here. There's a 1-0 Louis and a 1-0 Aqua in the list that's here to help manage the trigger scenario at level 1, but it's not powerful on the board, right? It won't be powerful on the board until level 2, at which point Gale Online can also put out the NPC Jacob and Doc package to put down, similar to Chutu and Pareo, a 3-2 and a 2-1 that are big, and, kind of fight on the board.
So we're seeing a second Rico be played here, or a second. He's checking the top of his deck and then salvaging equal to the level. The first one kind of makes sense, so you can see what the trigger is and maybe fix your hand a little bit. The second one, he picks up the same card that was used to trigger it. So that's a strange play. And then we're going to go ahead and commit a third 0 to the board.
Now, and this is not a plussing 0 either. This is, colloquially known as a helmet. You can sacrifice it and discard a card to salvage a character from the waiting room. Problem here, it's just swinging. It's not getting any better cards for us, and you could have answered the Iroha with a power pump from a single attack, because the red level 0 Len gives 1,000 power on attack. You could have powered over the Iroha with just 2 of those and kind of kept our discard options for potentially tricky scenarios.
Right. And we've used 3 of them now. So we used 3 hand fixes in 1 turn and didn't hand fix very much. So the problem can arise with doing that if your hand becomes clunky or you have too many climaxes in hand. You can run into situations where you'll regret these types of trifields.
Yeah, and not for nothing, there's nothing else coming to assist. There's only one copy of the set 1 level 0 green Len that on reverse moves one of your characters to the back row. And so it's gonna be tricky here for Loopy. I already just not only having one brainstorm, having double combo, but effectively nothing else on the board.
So you see kind of where Mochi wa Mano's zero game is pointed. We have a 3500, another 3500, and a character that gives 2000 power on attack. So he gets the bounce back here, but loses a climax. Probably okay with that trade, generally speaking. He's interested in leveling up anyway. This is also the nightmare scenario for the GGO deck. It can't go to level 1 and has to play another turn at 0 here against two 3500 power characters, which is just unlikely to get anything done.
Yeah, the lack of that level 0 Pita Hui from set 1 here is really getting felt for sure. I don't believe there is any other main phase clocking at level 0 that is in the list. I think the Karen, there's an interested in VR Karen green 0 that can filter from the clock, but that won't shoot you up to level 1.
So we get a brainstorm hit here, which is interesting. It's really good, actually. This is, so we're gonna get the Fuka 0, and we can't reverse on board, so it's
well hold on. The green 0 here, that's the In a Dream Karen, she gets power.
Okay,
right? So she's going to be 3500, and with the Rico, you could even power pump that to be over a card. You can force Mochi wa Mano here to sacrifice the Crony to bounce back the Miko. Right? Or you can, you can Rico the Fuka 0 away for something else if you had any interest in that. Or you can commit all 3 cards into the board and not have a discard target for the Fuka 0 that's on the board, and also just beat over the Crony instead of the Miko, which you could have beaten over the Miko, but now you don't. And Mochi wa Mano now does not have to spend the stock on the Crony because the Miko is at no risk. And at least for Loopy, Mochi wa Mano did take all of the damage.
Right. So the damage lead is a full level at this point. The upside for Mochi wa Mano is deck 1 is getting very small, and he can probably work through most of it this turn. And the further upside is he kind of wants to be behind on damage because his deck operates better from that position.
He wants to be at level 2 for as long as possible. Thus, now, after this deck out, he will guaranteed be at level 2, be in a compressed deck state, and then can hopefully start establishing the board. And also now, because he got to keep the Miko for fun, he gets to keep at least the 1 stock, guaranteed gets to keep the Miko on the board to swing with, and is going to be able to resolve the Oski combo here, get a search onto the board, has the Polka 0 in the back that has pay 1 on climax play to check up to 4, and it bounces back to let you check the top of the deck again,
and it also gives you a further power pump.
So the whole board is getting answered on GGO's part, guaranteed, and honestly the whole deck is getting kind of answered for Mochi wa Mano.
So we're gonna search the tap counter. This is a good time for it. He has lots of cards in hand, and he knows that the game is in one of those states that may precipitate defensiveness. Now we're going to go ahead and use the Polka. He's doing math to figure out what his trigger setup looks like. I'm guessing that the standby target will be Choco here.
Yeah, it's probably Choco and the Aqua Blue level 1 that's in the middle position of center stage for Mochi wa Mano. That will let him pay out standby triggers should he run into them. Thus, he's leaving a little bit more than 3 cards or 4 cards left in the deck, in the case that if you trigger it, you can pay it out, blind stock from the top, and, do some shenanigans there. And really now is kind of the point where if Loopy blocks and Mochi with Mano doesn't, that's kind of like the worst case scenario for Mochi with Mano, right? We're managing the best we can with the kind of damage deficit for Mochi with Mano, but honestly, as long as Loopy takes some amount of damage here, Mochi with Mano is feeling okay, and the empty lane certainly helps. If Loopy takes this 3, you're kind of feeling okay as Mochi with Mano.
So he triggers a standby in the exact scenario that we were discussing earlier with the Aqua. He's able to get the payout on it right before the refresh, which is going to allow him to refresh 8, which, if you're behind on damage, a big part of what can make that feel a lot better is going back in a compressed deck state.
Yeah, and this is unironically one of the most compressed states that you could be in as Mochi with Mano. We have a bunch of stock. We have, I believe, 5 stock, full board, full clock, near full hand. It's almost every clean card that you could grab out of the deck in this early game is out.
So Loopy drew a climax, so his hand now has 2 climaxes in it. And so they have to clock one of the climaxes, and then they draw a 3rd climax. So what we were talking about earlier with hand fixing, that nightmare scenario is occurring right in front of us, where we have a whole bunch of climaxes in hand. We have to clock them because we can't hand fix them away. And then on top of that, we've now become very brainstorm reliant. So we're going to see...
If this doesn't hit like 2, it's pretty bad. If it only hits 1, it hits nothing. It's actually horrible. This is actually the worst case scenario now for Loopy, because you also have no choices left. You actually don't have any plays. The only thing you have left now is slam the combo and pray heavily. And by the way, you have to have 3 or more characters, so that 0 is going to enter the board too.
Yeah, so we're seeing a level up from Mochi due to the Iroha mechanics. That mill is not optional. So the...
and the Iroha works.
So
the hand size is being kept up.
We're going to see a slam now for the treasure climax. We have 2 combos to resolve.
And we have a lot of climaxes in this deck.
At least there's 2 combos to resolve.
That is something. But I worry we have not seen most of Loopy's climaxes up until this point, unless they were drawn. There was 1 brainstormed, there was 3 drawn, and there's, I think, 3 or 4 left in this deck, and there's already a comeback trigger right on top.
So in a way, the comeback trigger is good here, because while it's not good to take a whole bunch of damage, we're getting it on trigger 2, and we need hand size. So the comeback trigger isn't the worst thing ever here.
It's technically not the worst thing ever. It's certainly not blind stocked by the Len combo from the bottom of the deck, so that helps. And on the attack declaration, Mochi with Mano is resolving one of the chokers in the back to keep the Aqua.
Right, because the power raises it to 8k with the 3,500 plus 4,500 Aqua, or 4k Aqua.
Yep.
So 7.5 total.
500 over. Just
right.
enough.
Yeah, the GGO combo only gets to 7,000, so it loses on the board to this, which it helps Mochi and exacerbates some of the damage issues we're starting to see on Loopy's side of the board, where they lost a whole level.
No!
And now we're triggering again. So we get back-to-back triggers for comeback and treasure, which is filling the hand up really nicely, but it is creating a future damage problem.
Yeah, and being able to open up that lane for Mochi with Mano makes it feel real easy to just go ahead and push Hit face. There's honestly much of what Mano doesn't even need to do that much on this turn.
No.
There's nothing that there's nearly nothing that he has to think about besides I guess it would be nice to play the IMA early play healer, get some healing done, and then hit face. Because the deck state is fine. We blocked twice, I believe, on that attack step.
Yes.
And now Loopy is known having one of the worst refreshes of all time. There are 4 guaranteed climaxes not going back into the deck.
Right, the 1 in hand plus the
2 in hand, actually, and the comeback trigger, and the one that Loopy had to clock for hand size.
The one that got clocked may go back if it only hits for 2.
Maybe. But it hit
didn't.
for 3, and
Okay.
it canceled.
So we get a cancel here.
And now it guaranteed won't go back.
Right. So
Yeah.
now we have a refresh 4.
Yep.
Which
Single
is
standby here as well for Mochi with Mano on the first attack with the Aqua. Keeping that card around for good reasons, as it turns out.
So now we can talk about Aqua a little bit. Aqua is ostensibly the finisher for this deck.
Luna.
Luna. Luna is ostensibly the finisher for this deck. It burns 1 whenever it reverses,
And
your
you
turn
discard.
and opponent's turn by discarding a card.
Mm-hmm.
And then whenever it's front attacked, you can look at the top card of your deck, and then if you want, you can put it in the waiting room. So we don't have dramatic finishing. What we have is defensiveness and grinding, which works really well in these type of game states where our opponent's deck is starting to wobble a little bit and we're winning on the board all lanes, and we have future winning probable due to early play plus Choco interaction, and we're getting free standbys, so we're gonna get a penalty and a level up. This should be green.
Yeah, it should be green, so it's gonna be the in a dream Karen here.
The big problem
take the 3
is
to the face. And,
we can't take all this.
Well, hear me out. We just refreshed 4. What if we take all of this?
Right. So that's tough.
Yeah.
So blocked 1 and took 6 damage. Now Loopy is in the unenviable game state of those are gone. You have to draw a card first.
Yeah, Loopy is now in the unenviable position of being at 2-6 with no finishing. Not great cards to play. The worst, like one of the worst deck states ever, does decide to clock.
I think that's okay. I would have entertained paying 3 last turn because
for a 1 combo. Yeah.
Because it's a nightmare hand.
So it's a nightmare hand, and you have an overage of stock. Not only do you have an overage of stock now, you arguably could coin flip stock later, and you're not. There's no playing the finisher here.
No,
the opponent is at 2-1.
This brainstorm hits remarkably.
Did Loopy just lose?
Or
maybe it doesn't matter either way. But there's still a good amount of deck left. There's only 3 climaxes left.
Okay.
Well, no, 2. There's only 2 climaxes left. Loopy drew the comeback for turn.
Right.
There are 2 climaxes left. And honestly, 3 good hits, or 2 good hits, and Loopy is gone. There are 28 soul triggers in Mochi What Mano's deck.
Right.
It's not
and
difficult.
We have two soul characters on board. Let's see how this develops. The brainstorm added the finisher, which is a strange add for me. I feel like I want a hand fix here.
Yeah.
Doesn't the NPC package hand fix?
Yeah, if you grab the NPC Jacob, you can discard to search for the NPC Doc.
Yeah.
Neither of which has happened. Loopy does have the red level 0 Len in hand to discard one of the bars. Loopy does have one of the red level 0 Lens in hand to discard one of the treasures.
Revealed a 0 off of the lens, so trying to decide what we're gonna go with. The problem is there's too much deck to go, And
I know I unironically don't know that Loopy can win. You cannot push enough damage to put Mochi with Mano in that much danger. And in fact, if Mochi with Mano goes to level 3 and can field Subaru or a second Luna or anything really, and get more than 3 packets of damage, the Choco, the Botan for Shuffleback, I mean, you're trapped. You're trapped.
So we're gonna try and push with the 3 combo.
Almost the best outcome here that you can think of is that Mochi with Mano goes to late 2 and also somehow cannot
level up, which seems unlikely because Mochi with Mano's deck is starting to grind down again. And it seems difficult to consider a world where Loopy can win. I think it's already over. Like it's like a zombie, like a dead man walking. I mean, there won't be... The decision being made here is whether to Choco to keep IMA on the board.
But so he decides,
right? He decides to do that.
Len is like 16. Len is like 16,000.
Okay.
Like, right, or like 16,000 right now with the Brainstormer and the combo 4K plus. It's like a 15,000 power card, but it does remove an on reverse target for the final swinging Len. So it cannot get the on reverse burn 2 on this final attacker.
Mochi takes 4. He does win using the rest counter backup. So he actually reverses the Len.
Oh, did he use it?
He did.
Okay. So we just...
It was Choco in tandem.
Yeah, Choco into the rest counter. Yeah.
Correct.
I missed the rest counter. Okay, so rest counter was used. Now we have the open board. Now we have Luna, an open board position for this Louis to swing into, dig for a soul trigger.
This is the game state, though. This is the best outcome that Loopy could have hoped for on the previous turn, which is stuck a good amount of damage and mostly handled the board. Now, it's unlikely that there's enough blocks.
There are 2 climaxes left in the deck.
Right, and it's a lot of deck.
And it's a good amount of deck.
So we'll see what happens here.
As Loopy, you need to block. You just need to block 2 swings. If the Luna burn 1 snipes a climax, if there is, if the Luna burn 1 snipes a climax or everything sticks, it's over.
This is a horrid deck state for Mochi with Mano. He's got 4 climaxes in the waiting room.
5
with 3 in the deck. 3 cards in the deck.
Mm-hmm.
So he's trying to figure out how to manage that. I believe there's 1 climax in stock, but...
There's 1 in hand, and there's, I think, 2 in the deck. But it's also like... I mean, if you win...
I think you can't assume that you'll be able to just... So he attacks first with the Louis so that he can see what the cards
get rid of one of the climaxes.
Yeah. He hits the other one.
Okay, so we do get a...
So we're going to put the Miko support on the board. This is 2K to the front, and then Brainstorm.
And that's, just stick 3. Here comes Luna. It's another soul trigger. And in
so
like,
all the climaxes were in the deck.
Yep. And in any other... This would have been problematic for Mochi with Mano if Loopy was kind of having a normal mid game. Honestly, like this bottom deck would have been really problematic for him. But instead, I don't think Loopy has a hand or has a very minimal hand and is on the verge of death.
Right. We're low on resources and running out of card damage to take. So this is another 3. If we take this, it's very bad.
Okay.
And
here
so the
comes
burn 1 is gonna be the kill shot. And
it does take. And that's the game.
So it's a good lesson in how possibly overplaying your hand fixing early in a sports game, you can kind of make your own bad luck, where if you draw climaxes in the mid game, but you used a whole bunch of your hand fixing in the early game to just do vanilla hits and didn't really hand fix very much, then you may have put yourself in a difficult position unintentionally by just overplaying your resources.
Yeah. And on the flip side, Mochi with Mano really just had to kind of keep everything on rails, keep the deck state steady. He took a scary 4 to go to 1-5, then clock to 1-6. But then that set up a scenario where he could just compress.
Honestly,
really heavily. I cannot stress enough how much Mochi with Mano had compressed after that first deck out, right?
It's true, but the thing is that due to the randomness of the deck state, he actually could have been in significant danger.
Could have, but
because with 3 climaxes on bottom, refreshing 6,
it was 8, I think.
No,
the first deck out.
The second deck out, the one that just happened right now.
Yeah.
This is a difficult deck state if the game is normal.
Correct.
Because you are now refreshing 6 while going to 2-6. That is how people lose Weiß Schwarz games.
Yeah.
So he's fortunate in the sense that he had so much life to give and that the game was pretty much under control by that point. But you could easily envision a world where if Loopy had played more conservatively in the early game and then been able to triple combo and then been able to set up better resource stacks, how that game could have been very dangerous.
Yeah. So there's Mochi with Mano continuing on to the top 8, and that's going to be it for the first video. This is the top 16 game that we had recorded. Loopy versus Mochi with Mano. It was hololive 8 stand. Sorry, it was in order. Treasure Comeback, Gale Online versus hololive 8 standby. And in another video, we'll be going into the top 8.